Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coltrane Conservatory of the Arts Talk Show. We're glad to have you back. We hope that you'll stick with us for these next few minutes. It's only a half hour. And I want to let you know that we're going to be talking about music, which of course is our school. The Coltrane Conservatory of the Arts is a music school. And we will be talking about some social issues as we often do. My name is Joe Pace III. I am the director of the Coltrane Conservatory of the Arts as well as one of the instructors there. We have with us on today, as usual, on the board is Mr. Lionel Don, and he has done a great job and we're grateful to have him with us. Now, I want to start off today by going over a few things with you about our music program here at the Coltrane Conservatory of the Arts. These are some things that I'm going to share with you. I want you to be informed as to what we're doing. We're located, by the way, at 6353 South Cottage Grove, right in the heart of Chicago, South Side, just on the other side of Hyde Park. And we teach a number of instruments. At this time, we don't teach the string instruments. If you want to learn how to play the violin, then you'll have to go somewhere else because we don't teach that instrument right now. But we do teach all of the band instruments. And here's a look at them, and I want you to see them for yourself. You can see some of the things that we're doing right there on your screen. And keep in mind that these things, everything you see there, we teach it. You see the piano, you see the drum set, you see the clarinet, you see the guitar, the saxophone, and then you even see there a conga drum there. So we teach that also. The trumpet and the bass guitar as well as the rhythm guitar we teach. We also teach flute and just a whole slew of other instruments. In fact, Lionel Dunn, the gentleman on the board here, he teaches he teaches all the woodwind as well as the string instruments, that is to say the guitar. And we really don't refer to that often as musicians as a string instrument, it is the guitar. When we talk string instruments, we're talking about the viola, the violin, the cello, and things of that nature. But we teach all of these instruments, folks, and we want you to jot our phone number down, which of course our number is 773-891-1875. And we'd like for you to have the opportunity to come here, to come to our school. We do have a free assessment, so if you just want to get a feel of whether or not you want to do something, you can come by our place, or you can call us and you can make it. It will get you in for a pre-assessment. That is to say, we'll put you on the instrument, show you a few things, go over a few things with you, and then finally you'll make a decision as to whether or not you want to go further. And you don't have to make that decision at that particular point. You may go home and you may think about it or for days or even maybe a few weeks before you decide. But once you get on the instrument, once you get on the piano, once you get on the drum set, once you get on the guitar, you put the saxophone in your hand or the trumpet, then it will give you a pretty good idea as to whether or not you really want to pursue that, you know. And these assessments are absolutely free. All you have to do is call our number, which is 773-891-1875, and someone will be very happy to go over all of our programs with you. Now, if you don't get an answer, just leave your name and we will get back to you ASAP. Okay? Alrighty, now this is an interactive program, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who would like to call and talk on the air about anything that we're talking about, you have the opportunity to do so. So get your phone, get near your phone, and you see the phone number right there on the screen, 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. And the board operator, Mr. Lionel Dunn. He will answer the phone and answer any of your questions having to do with our programming. Now, those of you who want to call and talk about some of the social issues, we had a young woman that called us about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she actually was had plugged into what had occurred at the Douglas High School there in Florida, in Parkland, Florida, and I didn't understand her because the audio just wasn't working well enough for me to understand what she was saying. So I do want to say to her, if you're watching today, that we did get a full news report on that once we got to where we could do that, and we understand why you would have called in so concerned about that. 17 people lost their lives, and I'm pretty sure that most of you already know about that. 3 of them were teachers, or career teachers, and the other 14 were youngsters from about, I think, roughly 12, 13, 14 years all the way up to around 18 years old. And the young man that did this was a former student of the school, albeit he is turned now 19 years old. And he was in court today to be arraigned for these murders. And from what I understand, he is, at this point, very apologetic and sorry for what he did. Well, it's too late now to be like that, though, because 17 people lost their lives. And I'm not sure what's going on, folks, but since DT, and that's the abbreviation for Donald Trump, and I'm just going to go with DT today, since he's been the president, it's been all kind of chaotic things going on. Earthquakes and mass murders. You know, remember just a short while ago, 58 people were murdered in Las Vegas. And then, of course, we go back a little bit further, and we have the murders that took place with at Sandy Hook as well as Columbine. And the legislators have not done anything about this whatsoever. They've passed one law, the president hasn't done anything, and none of them did anything. We've got to take this stuff seriously, and these young people at Douglas High now are standing up and protesting and speaking up and demanding that something be done about all of these firearms, because murderers are getting their hands on them way too easily, and it's got to stop at some point. But I've always contended that everything starts with young people, okay? Everything starts with young people. I remember doing the civil rights movement when I was very young, and I got involved with it. I am originally, ladies and gentlemen, some of you may know, but because I mentioned it several times, but I'm originally from Birmingham. Now, I've lived here in Chicago for most of my life. I came here at 18 years old, went in the Navy and served my country honorably, and then came back to Chicago. So I've been here for the vast majority of my life. But I was raised up in Birmingham, okay? And during the times when they were doing the dogs and the hoses and things of that nature, I was right there in that city. And we challenged a lot of the things that they were doing. We knew they were wrong. And you know, it's something about when you're that young. You really don't think about the consequences of any of it. You know that what you're doing is standing up and standing against wrong, you know, evil and sin, you know, and so you do it because of that, you know, because I never thought about anything. And when you see pictures of the people there in Alabama spraying hoses on young people there, and I'm pretty sure you all have seen it. Most of you have seen it because they do play it often, even now. And the dogs and things of that nature. Trust me when I tell you, we had no problem going into those situations. We knew that we could get hurt or something of that type, but it didn't. It didn't preclude or stop us from doing that. You know, the urge for justice is always much stronger than what could happen to me in my life or something of that type. You know, and so many kids went to jail. Many were dogs were sicked on them. Many were injured by those hoses. They are very powerful hoses. Many were treated badly and abused verbally, you know. But here we are today, and unscathed and living in a country that was made much better by those sacrifices that were made. And some people actually lost their lives back there in those days. I remember people, this one woman, I can't think of her name, she has an Italian name. I remember she and two other young men, black fellows, were killed there in Mississippi. And so a lot of people lost their lives and just gave so much in order to make things better in this country, because, you know, if it hadn't been for that, you think this country is at least quasi-rogue today, it would be awful. It would be awful. You think these skinheads, these Ku Klux Klansmen, these neo-Nazis and white supremacists and people of that type are filtered all through our country, or spread all through our country today, they would be all everywhere. You couldn't hardly move without running into one of them if it hadn't been for the people who stood up during those times and who are standing up now. We have a caller now. I'd like to put that call on the air. Caller, are you there?
Yes, and good evening. And
all right, good evening. What's your name?
I'm Steve.
Okay, go right ahead.
You know, you mentioned something called DT. I don't call him DT. I call him Donald Duck. But let me just go back to the beginning of what you're saying. See, back in the day, you know, I think you're the same guy that used to be up there on 63rd at the beach. Back in the days on the bench where they playing the ball.
You're absolutely correct. That is one of the areas that I used to play drums over there some years back.
Yep, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me just go stick with today. These kids out here, people out here taking so many different kind of drugs, they don't even know their name. Then they want to shut down the places where the facilities where they could go and get some help, get their medications. But the duck, he want to close everything down. But yet and still, he's always talking about what he want to do. The man is not doing anything except starting corruption. It's a mess. I've been around here a very long time in my life. I thought I would never ever see a person representing the United States of America like the guy that we got in there now. I think between Donald Duck and our Attorney General, Tweety Pie, the two worst mistakes that ever came down the pipe. We need to correct things. And listen, another thing, the more you see, the more people do. Quit showing maybe some of all this kind of mess that's going on. Everybody know what's going on. Let's stop it. But again, those people need to have some kind of help. Being in prison is not doing it. They need psychologically help. They need to be on somebody's couch, and they need medication. And monies need to go there. But yet still, what he want to do? He want to take money and build a wall around the border and look like a
around Mexico, as though that's our problem.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying as though that's our biggest problem.
No, Mexico is not our problem. It's the duck is our problem.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I said he wants to use money to do that as though that's our biggest problem, when in fact we have so many more problems that money should be spent on.
Well, listen, send him your copy of your show, and maybe he could correct things. Listen, I want to thank you for taking this call. And like I say, I remember you back in the day.
Okay.
Y'all used
What's your
to
name
put on.
again?
I'm Steve. They used to call me Big Steve. It was a
I'm pretty
wonderful
sure I would
time.
know you if I saw you.
Yes, you would.
Uh-huh.
And listen, it was a beautiful thing then. People sit around, they dance, they laugh, they smile. Sure, you smell some aroma, but you didn't hear no guns.
Well,
You ain't hear nobody acting stupid.
all right.
People had a
Okay,
good
all right,
time.
my brother. Listen, I thank you so much
All right.
for calling. And we're here every Wednesday at 7:30. Please call back, okay? And please tune in. Thank you very much. Now, this brother made a lot of points. He made a very great point in terms of talking about the wall spending. I believe the last estimate was around $80 billion that it would take to build that wall. It is ridiculous. Like you said, this is not our most needed situation that is facing us. We need to deal with these mentally ill people, and many of them are mentally ill. Even if this fellow was just mentally ill for a moment, and I've been thinking, I said to myself, what was he on to be able to do that? Because he's at this particular point, he seemed to be quite saddened by what he did. When you see him, his head is down, and he came to court today when he was arraigned today. You'd think that a fellow who shot all those people up would walk into the courtroom and tell the judge, I did it, and I'm guilty of it. But he's trying to save his own skin by saying, I'm not guilty, and if his lawyers are very good and they are able to say that he was mentally ill or something of that nature, then he may exactly end up being hospitalized rather than putting in a prison for the rest of his life. But but the fact is, though, he raised the question. Steve raised a question that's very important, and that is that he could have been on. They got so many drugs out here, and I'm not sure that all of those drugs can be detected in the bloodstream. So you never know. I mean, it just seems to me as though a fellow who would be able to do that would have to be on something, or maybe he snapped. I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to move on, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say that right now, with these last few minutes, I want to talk about Rex Tillerson, our former Secretary of State, who I thought was actually some level of stability in the Skelter White House that Donald Trump and his cronies are running. I thought this man was one of the level-headed ones. You know, he had been a big-time corporate executive. I believe he was. I think it was Mobile. And he had also, you might say, comported himself very well, far as I am concerned, you know. But somebody said that there was a report that came out, said that he called Donald Trump a moron, and he put an adjective in front of it, and it's supposed to have been an expletive, some sort of vulgar word he put in front of it when he called him a moron, and you know, so I'll leave it up to your imagination to determine what that adjective may have been. But Tillerson never ever denied it. He never admitted it, but he never ever denied it either. So his lack of denying it, actually, in most people's impression, means that he said it. Now, Tillerson seemed to be a man of a certain amount of integrity and character, and many people like that, rather than lying, they just won't say anything. Said, well, and he kept saying, well, this is childish, and I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to dignify that question with an answer. But a lot of people believe that when he called Donald Trump a moron, that Trump never got over that. that even though he stayed on as Secretary of State for these 14 months, that was always fuming in Trump's mind, boiling over. He called me a moron, and because first thing about it is Mr. Trump. I don't know how he actually made it out of a Ivy League school. I just don't know how he did it. He went to one, I think it was one of the smaller ones. I don't even remember which one it was. But I don't see how he got out because, man, his text messages, he chops up the language badly in his text messages, and he doesn't use punctuation very well at all. He has sentence run-ons whereby he ends a sentence and then starts another one without putting a period at the end of the first one that he wrote. And I don't think this is by some sort, and his spelling is awful. And these are things that you're supposed to learn in regular school. I graduated Roosevelt University, and I'm pretty sure I couldn't have gotten out of there if I couldn't use simple punctuation marks and know how to construct a simple sentence, and knew when I was doing a run-on rather than a complete sentence that comes to an end. So I'm not sure I know he didn't learn very much in school. I can probably guarantee you that. And somebody said that he's not a reader, so he doesn't even read the security reports that he gets, the national security reports, that he has somebody else to read them and then give him a synopsis of what occurred. We're in dangers, folks. We're in peril. This is not something that we can accept and just sit back. I believe that if we don't get rid of this president who's in there now, that all of us will regret it one day. Now, I don't care anything about what people are talking about the economy. I really don't believe this economy is based on anything that policy that Trump has laid down. It may be a little something that may be coming out of it because of this big tax break that he gave to the billionaires. He didn't give it to us, keep in mind that, because the middle class people like myself, I got my taxes, my tax bill at home right now I got to pay is pretty good size. And of course, all these other taxes that we share in, but I'm just saying that the big wheels got all that money and whatnot. And I keep hearing somebody saying that the unemployment rate is at an all-time high. I think I heard Trump say today that it's at a 50-year low. Unemployment, I should have said unemployment, at a 50-year low. And I'm looking around in my community as I'm driving down the street to see if I see less people walking or standing around doing nothing because they're so tired of looking for jobs, and they've just gotten worn out and frustrated to the point that they've stopped. And so when I see a minimizing of that type of thing as I'm driving down the street, then I'll say to myself, I'll say to everybody on this television show that, yeah, Trump is right. Mr. DT is right. This country is boiling over with jobs, but I haven't seen it, and I'm hoping that I do see it. Now, we're going to spend these last few minutes just telling you a few things about the school. I do want you to remember that although we get into the social issues, and we love doing it because we think it needs to be done, we want to make certain that we talk to you about the school. So you see the instruments that we teach in, alrighty? And we have our own string instructor, and we have our own saxophone instructor, our own woodwind instructor, our own piano instructor, we have our own drum set instructor, our own trumpet, our own saxophone instructor. We have instructors for all of these things, and we want you to come by there and get involved. But you have to call us in order to let us know when you're going to, when you would like to come in for the free assessment. Remember that the assessment is absolutely free. Absolutely free. All you got to do is give us a call. We'll bring you in, put you on the instrument, let you get a feel for it and see if you like it or not. And if you do, then you can think about registering and enrolling in our school. If you don't, that's okay. You know, but you want to come, you don't want to keep putting it off. You know, procrastination really is all about what you might say, what hindrance. Procrastination is a great hindrance for all of us. Now, I want to ask you, I want to say to you now that there are a lot of people that are going to be voting coming up next, I'm not sure exactly when, but early voting has started, so you can get out and vote, cast your vote. Please cast your vote, and please watch out for these judges. Don't just pull some Democratic ticket for all of these people, because some of these people can't hardly wait to get on the bench and then have some young black boy walking down the street with a dime, just as ragged as he can be, but he's got a dime worth of crack cocaine in his back pocket, and he ends up getting 10, 15 years, and his life is destroyed. So be careful about voting for these judges especially. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time, okay? Take care.